everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our live Q&A for the Saturday Visitor Awards presented by Poe Baltimore. Excited to be with you guys. This is a weird week, I think. This is one of those weeks where everybody is coming back at the same time from the holidays, from New Year's, and everybody's trying to catch up at the same time after putting everything off till after the holiday. So there's another little bit of gridlock as everybody comes back at the same time and everybody sends emails at the same time and everybody just goes nuts. So oddly, I haven't received any new questions this week for the Saturday Visitor Awards. So hopefully these Q&A sessions are just kind of anticipating some of the questions people may have. But these live sessions, we're meeting every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern to talk about the Saturday Visitor Awards, get creators psyched ready to submit their works before our call for entries opens January 19th, for Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. What are the Saturday Visitor Awards? Awards presented recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. Again, presented by Poe Baltimore. We are the nonprofit organization created to fund, maintain, and interpret the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, and we celebrate the legacy of one of Baltimore's most famous residents. We say resident, he does live here now. We have the body, he is buried here in Baltimore. The second part of Poe Baltimore's mission to celebrate Poe's legacy, we have citywide programs like the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards, the Saturday Visitor Awards presented at the festival every October. And the purpose of these awards really is to recognize the wonderful creativity, the wonderful just sort of groundswell of work that we're very, very lucky to see as people continue to be inspired by Poe, continue to adapt this wonderful work, continue to create wonderful work in Poe's memory and Poe's legacy. If going out to the movies this week, you might have seen one of my favorite books as has been adapted into a film starring Christian Bale, The Pale Blue Eye. Really looking forward to this year coming up in Netflix. We're going to see The House of Usher, Mike Flanagan's House of Usher. Mike Flanagan Q&A from Maryland. So some really exciting Poe films coming out. Really exciting. If anybody has seen Wednesday, that series on the Netflix, you'll see there's a lot of Poe references in that series. When you work at Poe House, everybody everybody in my life, and who knows I work at Poe House, has been sending me all the memes, has been sending, have you seen? Yes, I've seen Wednesday. I've seen it. I've seen the whole thing. So Poe alive and well in popular culture. And of course, we want to recognize these great works that are still out there. So the Saturday Visitor Awards call for entries will open on Poe's birthday coming up. So these sessions to hopefully anticipate some of the questions people may have about the awards, but then also share with you some resources, what to look for, what to not do, the do's and don'ts, and then also where to go if you want to kind of do your own research and figure things out on your own. So we'll be talking about that tonight. A couple of those tips, some of the things that we cover every session, but then tonight I'll kind of take you guys through the website so you can see where to go to find the information that you need as you prepare your entries and get ready to go. So SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, that is the website. That's where you want to look. There you're going to find entry guidelines. You can even download the PDF, kind of print those out, kind of go through them on your own and see. Make sure you're ticking all the boxes there. Other frequently asked questions that we've anticipated for you on the website, questions that people have sent in to us. Some of those things are evergreen. If you have any questions, want to get a hold of us personally, talk specifically about your piece, the email to contact, email to send a message to contact@poefestinternational.org. That is a really great way. Those emails come straight to the administrator. I can see any specific questions you have. You're not spoiling anything for me, the administrator. My job is to help people who are entering the awards make sure that they have everything ready and get everything ready for the judges to see and prepare those ballots. So if you have a question, what's my favorite thing to say? If there's a question, there's no question. Send us your question at contact@poefestinternational.org. That's really the best way. If you have any questions tonight while while we're live tonight, feel free to send those questions in the comments, or even just tell me where you're watching, where you are. Maybe even tag one of your favorite Poe-inspired creators out there who might not know about the awards, might be interested. Tell them about this or tag their work in the comments below, and hopefully they'll be able to find this information. The one thing we do ask is please do not request Saturday Visitor Awards entry information via social media. Don't send us a direct message on Facebook or Twitter. Those messages go to a different team, and it takes a few steps and stuff. The best way to get a hold of us is through the website or to ask questions tonight or on one of our Thursday night sessions. Some dates to remember, some important dates coming up. January 19th, Q&A, Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. January 19th, our call for entries opens at 12:01 a.m. That's when the portal will open at SaturdayVisitorAwards.org for you to begin to submit your entries. Deadline to enter is May 30th. That is the entry deadline. That portal will close at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, Baltimore time. So don't wait till the last minute. I'm going to slam that window right down on your fingers, and you're trying to be sending your entry, and the entry deadline is 11:59 p.m. Eastern. If all goes well, if the judges get their ballots to us in time and everything goes out, and nominees are notified and nominees announced by July 30th each year. And then this year's International Edgar Allan Poe Festival. Every year the festival is the weekend closest to Poe's death day. Q&A quiz there. October 7th, 1849 is Poe's death day. Every year we have the festival in the weekend closest to on that anniversary. So October 7th, Saturday this year, is when the Poe Festival will be. So these dates are very, very important to keep in mind. Awards are presented in two categories: adaptations of Poe's life or works, or original works inspired by Poe. I'm going to show a short video talking about these categories, sort of start a discussion here, and then we'll go a little bit of a deeper dive after this video. Hi everyone, I am the only one on the camera tonight, and I just realized that I may have been muted for most of this time. So just to be careful, I'm going to go through some of these slides now that my voice is back on here. I hope I wasn't muted. Somebody in the comments let me know if I was muted, please. But I'll go through these one more time just in case we missed this, and then embarrassing, I will try to trim this in the video. Saturday Visitor Awards, recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. The awards are given every year into different categories. Oh, great, Holly, thank you. Thank you so much. I was not muted, so I won't go through all of that again. Thank you, appreciate that. That would have been awful. All right, we'll jump ahead here. So talking about the categories, as you saw from the videos, from that video, Saturday Visitor Awards categories, adaptations of Poe's life or works. To give you some examples here, portraiture. Edgar Allan Poe was a historical figure, so portraits of Poe in any medium. Again, we have seen beadwork, we have seen beautiful pieces made out of typography, those kinds of things. Any portrait of an historical figure from Poe's life or Poe himself, portraiture would fall into adaptation. So that is an example here. Biography falls here as well, given the narrative nature of biography. Sometimes you can tell a story. How you tell that story is actually quite important. You got to get creative there. So biography will fall in this category. Film or dramatic adaptation, any of the more classical kind of ideas of adapting Poe's work, taking Poe's actual words and adapting it in some way. Now just changing, for instance, perhaps at the time, or era, decade, that kind of thing, that's still going to fall in adaptation because you're still taking Poe's direct work and doing a more classical adaptation of it. So that's going to fall here. Important to note, the Saturday Visitor Awards are intended to recognize artistic works rather than academic criticism. So we know that there's a lot out there, a lot of scholars, Poe scholars. We love those folks. We definitely want to see them at our events. But this award, these awards are presented for creative works rather than academic criticism. So something to keep in mind there when we're thinking about adaptations or talking about Poe's life. Now, original works inspired by Poe go a little bit more far afield, perhaps. Often you're going to see, these days, you see Poe as a character in original films, original novels, plays, this kind of thing. It's not, it's a historical figure Poe, but sort of getting creative with the details of his life, or inventing whole cloth scenes from his life, this kind of thing. Those would fall into the original works category. Sequels, prequels, or basis for any other original story. That is obviously a very close tie to Edgar Allan Poe, but a sequel is still not taking his words exactly. It's building into his legacy. A prequel's the same, that kind of thing. So things to keep in mind, those would be in the original works category. Original poetry falls here as well. Now, we understand that things can get a little bit slide back and forth a little bit, and you may not know quite where you fall. You might think more of the original works category. Obviously, it's a very creative work, but we might feel that you're still using more of Poe's, the fabric of Poe's work here, or the fabric of Poe's life, and we might kick you over to adaptation, or vice versa. You might think that you have more of a straight adaptation of Poe's work, but it's just bendy enough that it gets kicked over to the original works. We want to make clear that if you were to submit your work in a category and you do get bumped over to another category, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. You're not going to get penalized for this. You're just going to be notified that you've been changed to another category. So something to keep in mind. You're not going to be penalized if you get it wrong for this year. Now, if there's a question, there's no question. Definitely get a hold of us. You're not spoiling anything for the judges. You're not doing anything by contacting the administrator, asking specific questions about your piece. It is my job to help everybody get their entry in tip-top shape and get that submitted. So not anything to sweat. Get a hold of us and contact us. Notes about eligibility, and we're going to go over this. I'll show you guys where to find the guidelines on our website. But media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. These are the types of creative works that we are looking for. You're not limited to writing. There are no restrictions for medium or genre. We have, again, seen clocks, we have seen beadwork, we have seen portraiture, we've seen feature films, short films, poetry, this kind of thing. There is no limit to what you can submit. We have had questions in the past: are children's books appropriate to submit? And absolutely, and they're judged in the same categories because the categories are specific to original works, adaptations, and that's how they can be judged against one another. The primary considerations in those categories that the judges are looking for are these works worthy of Poe's legacy, and how well they're executed with that in mind. Important to note that the works for the awards must have been released, printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2020 and December 31, 2021. That means the previous 3 years. If your work is not yet finished, if it's not complete and it has not been published or has not been put out in some way for the world to see, social media does count here, must have been put out for the world to see by December 31, 2021. That's the previous 3 years. And works are eligible on a rolling basis. So as you can see, a work that was created February 2nd, 2020, is about to lose eligibility next year. This might be the final year that that's eligible. So something to keep in mind, it's a rolling 3 years where works are eligible. We're looking for Poe in popular culture. We're looking for current works inspired or adapting Poe, and that's where we are here. Released, printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2020 and December 31, 2021. I will emphasize these can be traditionally published, traditionally distributed, or not so traditional. We're in the age of social media, we're in the age of internet art, this kind of thing. Absolutely okay, but it must have been out to the world. It can't have been something like sitting in a notebook that nobody ever saw in your house. And you're submitting it for the very first time. It must have been released, distributed in some way, YouTube, your blog, social media somewhere, that kind of thing. Now, reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. This is the first time you've ever heard of the awards and you created something 5 years ago. We're sure it's wonderful. We're sure it was absolutely beautiful. You're no longer eligible. So your work must fall within this period of eligibility, and kind of, changing the cover, changing a couple of words here and there, changing a chapter, this kind of thing, really are discouraged. And the judge is going to be looking for that. I, as the administrator, I'm going to be looking for that. You want to be honest about that, because if you're caught, it kind of sucks. You have to boot your piece. So reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. Now, if we have any past nominees or any past participants of the Saturday Visitor Awards listening to this recording tonight or online tonight, a work may be nominated in more than 1 year. If you've been nominated in previous years, you can submit your work again for consideration. We will have a new slate of judges this year. And if your work is still eligible, you may, in fact, enter your work again. If you've won previously, if we have any of those winners from previous years listening to this video tonight, sorry, you're a winner forever. That's actually a good thing, right? Your win is eternal, and you cannot enter your work again, even in part. So if you've submitted a collection and the collection won, and then you try to submit a story from that collection as a separate piece, it's not accepted. If it's won, you cannot submit the parts in whole or in part again if you've won previously. So definitely something to keep in mind. So I'm going to jump over here. I see the question here. If the work has not yet been published, it cannot be submitted, and that is correct. If it's not yet been published, now again, if it was published on a website, as long as it was available for the public to see, you can submit it. But if it has not been published by December 31 of last year, it's not. This should actually say December 31, 2022. So we're looking for December 31 of last year. So that period of eligibility in the last 3 years. That's a typo, and I'll fix that. So December 31, 2022, last week had to have been. So sorry if that's confusing, and I will fix that in the post edit here. Again, emphasis on traditional and not so traditional works too are eligible. Now, thinking about those categories, if you're trying to figure out where your piece falls, something to consider, the judges are looking for primary considerations. Judges in the adaptation category, their primary consideration is if someone asked for an introduction to Poe's life or writing, would you recommend this piece to them? That's what the judges are looking for. That is what they're comparing the entries against one another. This is what they're thinking of. Is the piece a contribution worthy of Poe's legacy, presenting Poe's life, writing, or the facts of Poe's life in a creative and original way? That's the primary consideration for the adaptation category. The primary consideration for the original works category is the work essential rather than merely commercial. If someone who already loved Poe asked the judge, who is the expert, to recommend works with a dramatic take on Poe's life or writing, would this piece make their best of list? And ahistorical works are eligible here too. So we talked a little bit about this in last week's video. If you want to find that on our YouTube or Facebook libraries. These categories, if there's a question, send that question to us and we'll try to get you squared away. Now, important to note, we know that there's some very creative people out there. We do ask, you're going to submit a work, one work per category. You got to choose. You cannot submit more than one piece per category. If you submit more than one piece, it's got to be in 2 different categories, but only submit one. In previous years, we had allowed more than multiple entries in a single category, and that is no longer allowed. So let's say you've got a lot of Poe pieces out there. kill your darlings. Make sure that you're submitting the best, the highest and the best piece in each of those categories if you're submitting next year. Now, one thing to please note, we really do encourage you to get that Poe work out there, but don't add us with your work. If you're submitting your work for the Saturday Visitor Awards, the best way to get our attention, submit for the awards. Put your money where your mouth is. We have been tagged in some wonderful Poe works in the past, and that happens all the time on social media, and we're really excited that people want the museum to know about your Poe-inspired work. That's part of the reason we started the awards, was to recognize a new generation of people who continue to be inspired by Poe. But the best way to get noticed for the Saturday Visitor Awards is to enter the piece for the awards. So don't tag us, tag the creator. Let the creator know that this is out there. We're waiting to shower Poe love on them, on something to keep in mind. So tonight I'm going to go over the website, where to find some of this information that I'm sharing with all of you. And I'm going to share a tab here. All right, so everybody should see our 2022 Saturday Visitor Awards. This is the Saturday Visitor Awards page. At the very, very top of the page, you're going to see there's a tab to see last year's winners. If you click on that, it's going to take you to see some of the winners and the nominees from this past year. Scroll down further in the page, you see information about the awards. A lot of this stuff should look familiar. It's something I repeat to you guys every week. We're very excited that the Poe Museum Richmond, the Poe Cottage in New York, Poe House obviously in Baltimore, all of these Poe sites do participate in the Saturday Visitor Awards. So if you submit your work is going to be seen by representatives from those organizations. The awards are presented by the nonprofit Poe Baltimore, and this is the page you're going to come to submit your entry, and you see this button here, January 19th. The portal's going to open. You're going to click on this, and this is where you're going to go to submit your entry. Now, as you scroll down the page here, we have the entry guidelines and other important information available for you to download here. The 2023 SVA entry guidelines, they've been updated as of December 29th of last year. You can download these, print them, highlight stuff, take a look at this so that you are absolutely clear on what's expected. And then the 2023 Saturday Visitor Awards entry practice form, we have printed a blank form for you. You're not going to submit this to us. You're not going to mail it to us or anything. This form is for you to download, for you to go through the form so that you are ready to submit your piece. One thing to note, when you submit your entry, you won't be able to save the entry, come back to it later. So you want to be ready. You want to have this ready. So we provide this practice form for you to download so you can see the questions, see what you're about to be asked to do, and have that ready to copy and paste into the form when it's time. As you scroll further down, you'll see the videos from last year's winners as well as nominees in both categories. Further information, program updates about the festival, and that lovely video that we saw at the beginning here. So the first page of the Saturday Visitor Awards website, you see all of this information. It's right here for you. We do have other pages as we'll be announcing the judges for this year soon, so that page will be updated shortly. It's got last year's information now, but the SVA entry guidelines, another page you can go to that has all of the information here. The video talking about the categories right at the top of the page here. The guidelines actually printed out for you here. Another link that's going to take you to the portal that's going to open January 19th, and another place to download the guidelines. So this is where you go, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, to find that information. And when you click to download the practice form, it's going to open for you here. Saturday Visitor Awards entry form. And we'll scroll through this, just sort of give a sort of top overview of what to expect from the form. It's going to ask you for which category you are submitting your piece, adaptation or original works, the title of the work. You are asked to list all of the authors and creators' names. Now, it's important to note, pseudonyms or anonymous works are permitted to be entered, but the rights holder still has to be identified. So you can request that we use a pseudonym when we announce the work, or we keep the work anonymous when we announce it, but we still have to know who you are, and we have to know who the rights holder is so that we can in fact consider this for the work. So it's not front facing, it won't be public facing unless you tell us it's okay. So if you have a pseudonym that you use instead, you can put that here, but just know we will need to know who the rights holder is. Again, this note asking you to acknowledge that the piece was released, published, the copyright date, only works published or released between January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022. It's correct here, are eligible. And so you're asked to put the date here so that we can verify this. And I'm going to be looking for that. Now, you are going to be asked to provide a URL to the complete work. This is how the judges are going to access the piece for review. Unfortunately, we do not have the budget to fly our judges all around the world to see the beautiful work from all of these folks, to judge it in person. And we do understand that sometimes the work is better seen in person. We understand that sometimes you're not going to get the full impact of what is being presented without seeing it in person. But unfortunately, that is not possible. But providing a video, providing a link to the complete work, that is what you are asked to do here as the fifth part of the entry form. Then you are asked to provide a description or synopsis of the work. Now, the reason this is helpful is because that you can share with the judges what they might not be able to see just by viewing the link. So if the piece took 80 hours of continuing, nobody can humanly do that, but you understand if quite a bit of work went into this, or the process is not immediately apparent, this is where you can describe for the judges what they're looking at, what they might not see immediately as they're looking at the work. And you're given this opportunity here. You're then asked if the entry is long form, such as feature film, novels, scripts, anything over 10,000 words, anything over 20 minutes. And that's what we're thinking of for long form work. And you're asked for a yes or no. If yes, if the work is long form work, you are asked to highlight a segment for the judge's consideration. Pick the best 10,000 words that you want the judges to read first, or pick the best 20 minutes that you want the judges to see first. This is what the judges will evaluate in the first round of scoring. If no segment is provided, the judges are automatically going to default to the first 10,000 word, first 20 minutes. If that's the best part, that's totally okay. So this is giving you an opportunity to, the judges is not going to read the entire novel in the first round of judging. They're going to jump immediately to those 10,000 words, and that's going to give the judges an opportunity to decide if they want to delve deeper. So this is your opportunity to sort of put the best stuff in there first, and get the judges' eyes on that for the first round. So this is where you're provided an opportunity to sort of give us a page number or a timestamp. How can the judges get there first? All artists are then asked to provide a statement. Please describe how Edgar Allan Poe or his writing is the subject or inspiration for this work. And this is the same question that you are asked whether you are submitting in the original works category or the adaptation category. Please describe how Edgar Allan Poe is the subject or inspiration for this work. And this is where you tell the judges what you were thinking, draw that direct line from Poe to your work for the judges. Let them know what you were thinking. Now, there is a limit, and I want to highlight this. Do not put a URL link to your statement. You have to put the text of your statement in this form. We had a few people last year try to sidestep the rules, kind of get cute with this and put a link here. And I got to tell you, that is not going to be accepted. It's going to be rejected. And then the judge is not going to see your statement. So please follow the rules. You must include the text of your statement in this field. Do not put a link to your statement. Videos are not accepted here either. All right, so you are then asked to identify the rights holder for this work. This can be kept private if this is preferred. If you are, you say that you are the rights holder. If it's someone else, you have to identify that person, the right holder's name, the right holder's mailing address, the right holder's email. and then the name of the person submitting this entry, organization, relationship to the work, mailing address, all that good stuff, contact information. And at the very, very end, question 20, I understand there's a $25 fee to enter a piece for SVA consideration. And that is what you have to acknowledge, that you understand that by submitting an entry, your entry is not going to be judged until that fee is received. All right. Well, I hope that that is helpful. And if you visit SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, you'll be able to look. All right. So looking through a few more things to note, again, important things to remember before we close tonight. If I don't see any direct questions in the comments, I will await those questions via email, and I'll try to put some of those questions, anonymous questions, up for other folks to see next week if we receive those. But we are getting closer. January 19th is when that portal will open, so we're getting closer to the time to enter. Now, I want to share with everybody, I try to go through these every week, but this is something, again, we see this every year, no matter how many times I tell people, but I don't want you to feel like you weren't warned. Important things to remember. We need a working link. You are required to provide a working link to the work for the judges to view. We will make one attempt to contact the artist if the link is broken or requires a password. Please don't give us the kind of link like a $0 purchase, that kind of thing. You have to give us a link directly to the work. If the link is broken or if it doesn't work, we're going to try to contact you one time to fix it, but then the work will be disqualified. If you don't know what a URL link is, please ask a friend. I cannot teach you how to use your computer. I will do my best if you have a specific question about how best to present, but I can't teach you how to use your computer. I can't teach you how to enter a URL. Make it easy to view. As you're thinking about how you're going to package your work, we know that artists work with crazy programs and files, After Effects, Photoshop, this kind of thing. Please assume that the judges don't have that. The judges don't have that. Even a Kindle or Amazon account, this kind of thing, just assume that they don't have that. You want to give them the kind of file that is universal to open. PDFs have become universal to open. PNGs, JPEGs, this kind of thing, those kinds of graphics, those kind of files, easy to open. We also discourage editable files, like a Word file, for instance, or a Pages file, anything that can skate around the screen. The great thing about a PDF is it kind of locks in the way something's going to look on the screen, at least for the most part. So give us something that's locked. If it's the kind of file that I can go in and start to type into it and it looks different, or if the fonts don't come through and it just looks crazy on the page, that really is going to be distracting for the judges. It's not going to be something that they're not going to want to sort of keep reading. And I can tell you that from experience. So don't send an editable file. Lock it as a PDF, lock it as PNG, JPEG, that kind of thing, easy to open. And this goes for social media links too. Everybody's got different filters or different ways they view their screen. So if you posted your piece on Facebook, that's okay if that's how you get your work out, or you posted it on Patreon, for instance. That's how you get your work out. That's totally fine. But don't give them a Patreon link. What you want to do is you want to give them a link to the work and make it clear when the work was first distributed, first released to the world. So nothing behind a paywall, that kind of thing, nothing difficult to open, one click kind of open. Don't just assume that the judges don't have Photoshop or Kindle or anything like that. Make it as easy as possible to view. Some other things we've already gone over: long form entries, what to, you're going to, an excerpt. Please don't expect somebody to immediately read 500,000 words, even though they're probably beautiful. They're probably all beautiful. Just be ready to provide an excerpt to your long form entry. Now, remember, you have to submit a link to the complete work so that they can see that the work is complete, but you want to be ready to provide that excerpt, that timestamp for those page numbers. Tell them where to go first. Other things. Visual elements like book or album covers do make a strong impression. So even for non-visual works. So If you do have packaged, if the work is packaged in a way to sort of make sure that those elements are part of that piece, you won't be able to send more than one URL. So you want to make sure that the URL is going to the one place where they can see everything, not a zip file, that kind of thing. Don't do that. We're going to prepare something for the judges to see all of the piece, not multiple files, not a lot of clicking, this kind of thing. One click kind of option. That's what we're looking for. So keep that in mind. But if you do have these extra elements, find a way to incorporate them. Visual elements, book covers, album covers, those things are totally fine. When it comes to your artist statement, I'm going to go into this a little bit more in subsequent sessions, but the long and short of it, be brief. Be concise. We have seen you are given a nice chunk of space for your artist statement, but uh, the piece should be what the judges spend the most time on, not your artist statement. If you're finding you're explaining too much, you're probably going on a little bit too much. So keep that in mind. You don't try to be brief, try to be concise. Make sure that that statement is impactful, but it should not be the thing that the judge is laboring over before they can finally get to your piece. Sort of keep that in mind. All right. So that is all I have for tonight. Sort of keep this brief. Again, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org if you want to find all of the pieces that we were going through, where to download those items that I showed you tonight. Entry guidelines, there's frequently asked questions page. If you have a question, contact at poefestinternational.org is the best way to send your question. Again, please don't tag us on social media. Too many people has to go through too many people before we finally get to that question, and it's a nightmare. So please make it easy. Send your question, and we'll make it easier for you. We'll send an answer right back directly to you. I hope that is helpful. All right, we are not too far away from Poe's birthday. Not only will we be opening the Saturday Visitor Awards on Poe's birthday, but we are celebrating Poe's birthday at Westminster Hall, where he is buried. Seems kind of morbid, celebrating the cemetery, but hey, it's Poe. So a murder mystery for Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. We will be at Westminster Hall January 19th. If you visit poebaltimore.org, you can go and purchase tickets for that event that night, not to be missed. We'll also be doing our award ceremony for the Young Saturday Visitor Awards at Westminster Hall. Super excited about that. Thank you very much for the folks who participated tonight. We look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck. Have a good night, everyone.